Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another There Can Be Only One video for you. Today, it's automatics. I just picked my favorite 10, not exactly my favorite 10 automatics. I have some big crazy ones I like, maybe a bit more than these, but I would never have them if I could only have one. The premise is, yeah, if I could only keep one automatic, which one would it be? These are kind of my 10 finalists, and then I'm just going to go through live reaction and eliminate them one by one. I'll go through and tell you what each of them are first and roughly what they cost. And then I'm just going to go through and eliminate them one by one. There is a wide variety of prices here. But these are very tough videos for me to do. I will preface this by saying I had to reshoot this because my camera went wonky. So I do know the first three I eliminated. Normally these are like completely live reactions, but in the interest of full disclosure, I already know the first three because I already started this once and I screwed it up. So keep that in mind. But after those first three, it's actually just live agonizing choices over which one of my favorite children to keep. And when I get to the final one, remember that's on this day. It's really the top two or three that really matter. So don't get too wound up. If your favorite knife made the top two or three, it still did really good. And if you ask me tomorrow, maybe I might have chosen that one. So all that said, let's get going. I'm going to use some models and prices first. We're going to start off with the Boker Kalashnikov. I will specify this is not the one that I would keep if I only had one. I do want to say these are about 44 to like 80 bucks. They're great, inexpensive, really cool knives. They come in a really cool, like looks like an AK-47 banana clip. It's pretty awesome, the packaging and stuff. This is one of the more funky painted up editions. I would have one of the plain black ones. I do believe they do it in S30V. It would probably be that one. That one's more in that $80 range. But they're really cool little automatics anyway. Next up, let's just grab the Microtech Troodon. This is not the Combat Troodon. This is the Troodon. I eventually decided the Combat Troodon was a little bit too big for me. This is 345 bucks. Really cool knife. Next up, we'll grab the ProTech Newport. This one is like 190 with this carbon inlay, but they run about 160. They're not too horribly expensive. Very gentlemanly little knife. Next up is the Microtech LUDT. Actually, the first Microtech, which I didn't know that until I got one and started doing research for the review. About 250 bucks for one of these. And of course, it's purple because it's me. Next up, the Kershaw Launch 11. These run almost exactly 100 bucks, $99.95. Next up, we have the Guardian Tactical Recon 035. Depending on the model you get, between like 280 and 325. This is more in the 325 range because it has the carbon on it. And next up, the next two, I don't normally include different sizes of the same knife, but I couldn't decide which one of these two to eliminate. So we have the ProTech Rockeye, which is about 200 bucks, and the SBR, which is about 180. SBR stands for short bladed Rockeye, so it's obviously just the smaller version of the Rockeye. And then we have the Emp Edc Slenderman 179 for these. This is one of the new S35 VN versions. Serial number 69, because I'm a child. I asked for it. Very slim little OTF. And one of the absolute stalwarts, the Microtech Ultratech, $295 for this one. I wound up choosing the Ultratech instead of the UTX 85 because I like in this size I like the Recon better. So the UTX 85 wouldn't have lasted, so that's why it's not in here. All right, let's get going. So I already know the first three, so I'm not going to try and fake the drama here. First one I eliminated was the Emp Edc Slenderman. It is really cool, and I do really like having it around. But some people do call it an OTF letter opener. I think it's a bit more useful than that. I think that's a bit unfair. But yeah, there can be only one auto. This isn't exactly a well-rounded knife. You definitely can't do anything even resembling anything sort of heavy duty with it. So this would be the first one to go. Still really cool. I'm still glad I got one. But this would be the first one eliminated. Next up was the Kalashnikov, and not because of the price. I think they're super cool. But as far as out the sides go, there's just stuff I like a lot better. And again, it's that there can be only one. I would like something a little bit better than a Kalashnikov. And a little minor, one of the only nitpicks I have with the Kalashnikov, but something that really bothers me, is I don't ever carry this one because it's all painted. It was a gift from a viewer and all that stuff. But even on the regular ones, the paint chips off a lot. I have friends that carry Kalashnikovs all the time, and they always wind up looking super beat up, and not in a pretty way, not a patina. They just wind up looking beat up. But it's still a great knife. If it's on this table, it's a good knife. And don't worry, we'll shuffle stuff around here. You'll get to see bigger. As that goes on, you'll be able to get a better view of all the knives that are left. And then next, this one surprised me because I love this knife. And I have zero plans on selling this thing anytime remotely soon. But it would be the Newport. It's a great knife, but again, it's kind of slender. It's very gentlemanly. It has a very gentlemanly sort of look, especially if you've bothered to clean the blade off before the last time you used it, Brian. It's been two takes this video, and I still didn't clean the blade off. Yep. I still had tape residue on it. But anyway, it's very gentlemanly, but it's a gentlemanly automatic. And for me, I just don't have much all the time carry use for that. I do wind up carrying this around the house a lot. It does get used a fair bit, obviously, because there was tape crap on it. But it's still just like, I don't know exactly when I would use it a ton if it was my only auto. I wouldn't carry it for that gentlemanly sort of purpose. I probably wouldn't carry it out because it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it looks really pretty. It looks very, very fancy and classy, but then it goes bang. So guess that's why it's just kind of a split personality sort of knife, and even though I love it, I just don't think it would be a there can be only one kind of thing. So now we're down to actual live, what ones would I eliminate next? What one would I eliminate next? I'm trying to shuffle to put more of them on the camera, but I don't know if it's going to work. I feel like I always say when I'm doing this, I feel like I'm playing 3-card Monty. Which one is the winner? This is where it gets tough, because this is how these videos usually are, where I just don't know what to choose. What would I get rid of next? Gosh, I hate to eliminate 2 Protects in a row, but it's another one I love. I have zero intentions of ever getting rid of it, but it would be the SBR. Because it's small. It's a what? I'm sorry, I gotta go off camera here for the measurement. It's like a little over 2.5, 2 3/4 inch blade. It's not the best slicer in the world. Great sentence, Brian. The ergos are fine and stuff, but I don't know, it's just small. Love the action on it. SBR is a fantastic knife, but it's not even like California legal. It's a bit longer than that, so yeah. And I do have Cali legal Protect Runt 5. I didn't put that on the list because I know it's Cali legal. It's a really short blade. That's why it's not on here. It is gorgeous, and it is not going anywhere. But next, I guess I gotta say the Launch 11. The Launch 11 would have made this to, I'm just guessing in my head, probably the top like 3 if it was half an inch longer. I do love the Launch 11 design. I think it looks super cool. I like the hole through. I know some people don't like the hole all the way through the scales. I think it looks awesome. Blade's very slicey. I think the price is amazing. You're looking at CPM 154 steel, one of my favorites. Super easy to sharpen and everything. But again, I don't want it to be just a little bit bigger, and it would make it very, very far. But for $100, you can't go wrong. Especially if you live in a place that's got 3-inch blade limits. But if you live in a place that's got 3-inch blade limits, the odds they also allow autos are fairly slim. All right. And then there were 5. Obviously, there were a lot of Microtechs and Protechs on here because that's what I have the most of. So I try and limit the amount of from one brand in these things, but there aren't that many auto brands that are, really like mainstream and that I get my hands on. And it's going to be another Protech. This is the Rockeye is super cool. Les George design, as obviously was the SBR. S35 yen and all that. Don't mind the size of it. It's not because it's big, because it's really not that big. It's the thickness behind the edge. It's not a particularly great slicer. It's more of a heavy use sort of auto, if there can be such a thing. And that I wouldn't need that for every day. It made it this far primarily because it hits so hard, and I love that about it. All right, so we were down to the Ultratech, the LUDT, the Troodon, and the Recon 035. This one's actually not that hard because I've thought about this a lot. I did a video about Buyer's Guide to Microtech OTFs, so I know which one of these Microtech OTFs I like better, and it's not the Ultratech. The Ultratech is awesome. I actually got this just to use as a size comparison knife. That's the only reason that I got it. Didn't plan on carrying it very much. Thought I liked the UTX 85 better, but the more I carried this, the more I carried it. It's been in my pocket a ton. I do really like the size of it, actually. This is the Tanto blade, which is my favorite. It's a great knife. I think the value is pretty good. I think this is also kind of the sweet spot, that $300 range. I think for a Microtech, they're definitely worth every penny of that. The Ultratech's one that's fairly easy to get. They make a lot of these. If we're a Microtech, they're not the easiest thing to get in the exact configuration you want, but if you're willing to compromise a bit, they're not hard to get. But this would be the next one to go, just because I know I like the Troodon better, because I already had to try and make that decision in a video. So what one will be next? A lot of purple through. It's not just because they're purple. It doesn't hurt. I mean, it hurts probably your eyes trying to see them on the screen, but I love the distressed finish on this, but I'm trying not to take into account finishes and stuff. I'm going to eliminate the Troodon. I like it a lot. I like the Ergos probably at least as good as the Recon 035s. That's why I like it so much. And again, I love the finish on this one. But the action is not as good as the Guardian Tactical. It's just this is probably the best action I have on a Microtech, but it's still a little stiff, just a little bit. It's not too bad, but it's just a little bit stiff. So we're down to the LUDT and the Recon 035, which really means this wasn't planned, but I guess I'm answering. For me, if I could only have one auto, do I want an out the side or do I want an OTF? Do I want that? Or do I want that? Oh, the action on this thing is so silly good. And you know what? It's not going to come completely down to the action. But only one auto. Every time when I use an auto for stuff, sometimes you do think about, am I going to get it gunked up? Don't ever think about that with the LUDT. And the LUDT has one of the sliciest blades of any knife that I own. Forget being automatic. I think based on the blade alone and the fact that I don't worry as much about this getting gunked up. I worry about automatics getting gunked up all the time, but I don't worry about it as much with an out the side. They're just easier to clean out. You can get compressed air in there and just blow them out. Yeah, I got to go LUDT. There could be only one. But in a controversial swerve at the end, if I could only have one auto, and it was an LUDT, it wouldn't be the purple one. I love the purple one. The purple one works for me great, and when I carry it, I'm carrying a purple knife. But if I only had one auto, I'd be carrying a lot more often, and I would get it in a more discreet color, probably like the distressed gray or black or something like that. So yeah, a little bit of swerve there. I don't think the LUDT is a super huge surprise, but yeah, I would get it in another color. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.